What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn Dollars Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, we had a week in golf. It was the Rocket Mortgage. Not the most exciting golf tournament of the year by any means, and I think I'm pretty on point saying that. I don't think anybody's going to quote me saying that their favorite event of the year is the Rocket Mortgage. But Cam
Cam
Davis,
Davis might.
he's won it twice now. It's the only tournament he's won on tour. So, what'd you think of the week?
It was good. Didn't expect Cam Davis to come out and win. I could tell you that. Former winner, and he's been playing like dog, so wasn't expecting him to go out, but good for him. Pretty good leaderboard going into it. Davis Thompson, Minwoo Lee, which is fun to watch him chip in. Akshay, Aaron Rai, Eric Cole was up there, Cam Young. So it was a good lineup, and there were some awesome names like your guy Luke Clanton, amateur who dominated there. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a great week for, again, a lot of those high price guys that all finished top. I don't know, what was that, 8 or so? That was all kind of decent names outside of maybe Cam Davis, depending on who you ask. I felt like everybody else in that. Maybe Aaron Rai is a little less known. But again, all decent names, all things considered, especially on this week's standards in terms of tournaments. And then the next grouping was kind of a nice grouping of amateurs and young guys who all kind of been working their ways up. Again, you talk Clanton, we'll talk about Neil Shipley. So it was a nice little grouping there, and it worked out.
Absolutely, it was awesome. I'm excited to get to John Deere Classic, though. I'm not gonna lie, that's our hometown event. So
yeah, this is John Deere is the tournament that we probably relate most to. We've played that course 10 times together at this point. Jack probably knows all the golf holes by name, similar to what he does at Augusta, which is both impressive and terrifying. It's the course where I have played arguably some of my better golf, which is hilarious. And then Jack has broken 70 a couple times at, I want to say.
Yeah. First time Liam ever broke 90 was at Deere Run in a hailstorm.
Yes, exactly. So Deere Run does kind of hold a special spot for us. I will highlight a couple things in the last week in terms of a couple guys that were surprising. Tom Kim and Keith Mitchell both missed the cut. If you would have had me put money on both those guys missing the cut, I would have lost a good amount of dough. Robert McIntyre was another decent name that also missed the cut. So those are a few of the standouts. Noren's another good one who missed the cut. But beyond that, if there's anything else, let's just get through DraftKings and FanDuel. How'd your lineup?
And Willie Z withdrew, so that's something to watch for too.
That's true. He made the cut and then withdrew on Saturday after I think making it right on the number. I think he was like 6 holes in though, and he went like triple, double, bogey, par, bogey, and then withdrew.
That'll do it.
It's kind of tough when you're like 6 over through 6 holes and you're not playing that great. So
yeah,
it happens. Jack, how did your DraftKings lineup look last week?
Not great. Had some bright spots. We had Akshay, who finished T2. We had Maverick McNeely, who played well. And we had Rio Hisasune, who made the cut. Lee Hodges and Matt Wallace both missed a cut. And in an event that goes to 20-ish under, 4 out of 6 ain't cutting it. So not great.
Yeah, you say that. I mean, I won money in DraftKings, which at least in double ups, not in single entries. I was like the second to last guy to win money on double ups. I went 4 for 6 behind Davis Thompson T2, Neil Shipley T20, Mark Hubbard T52, Ryan Fox aka Foxy T67, and then my top 2 guys, Tom Kim and Keith Mitchell both missed the cut.
That's tough.
Yeah, super weird. For whatever reason, that seems to be my specialty, where I can pick the 4 bottom guys to do well, but I can't seem to pick top guys to do well.
Well, my top guys in FanDuel did well because I had Akshay and Cam Young, who both finished 2 and 6 respectively. I had Pendrith, who was like last place inside of the made cut. And then Matt Wallace, Lee Hodges, and Miles Russell all missed the cut, unfortunately. So don't look at me for DFS this week. For first time in a long time, it feels like.
Yeah, yeah. We didn't even talk about Miles Russell, but he shot what, 2 under? Missed the cut by I think 2 shots. Quite respectful, all things considered, for a 15-year-old. So
Hmm.
nicely done. I'm sure he'll play a lot more golf in the coming years at this point, and he'll be fine once he's like 18, 19 to hop on tour. On FanDuel, I had some of the same casualties. Tom Kim, who missed the cut. I had Lee Hodges here, who Jack had in DraftKings, who missed the cut. But then I had Davis Thompson, T2, Neil Shipley, T20, Maverick McNeely, T44, Mark Hubbard, T52. And again, got carried by Davis Thompson to win money in double ups.
There you go.
All right, that's
Went back to normal. I'm human, guys. Unfortunately, we hit a losing week. Regrettably, I'm now only up 46.89 units on golf betting on the year. I'm sorry, everybody, for letting you down. Big hitters like Tom Kim, number one projected guy in the field, missed the cut. That sucked. We had Akshay finished top 40 at -180, which was awesome. We had Taylor Moore top 52 and ties. He finished 10th. That was nice. Cam Young top 40 was nice, and then Chris Kirk top 51 was a nice winner. But misses in Tom Kim, Maverick McNeely, Matt Wallace, which is a big one, and then Lee Hodges. So down 1.28 units on the week, but still 46.89 units up on the year. Still pretty good, if you don't ask me.
Yeah, it was a rough week for me as well. Not the best week as far as our bets go, but again, strange tournament. So I guess that's what we have to do. Steven Yeager over Matty Schmidt felt like it should have been a lock. It was a loss. Matty Schmidt, I think, finished top 20.
Matty.
No, he's Matty Schmidt to me until he learns to like consistently stink, except for when I want to bet him. Please. I did have Eric Van Reen over Garrett Higo. That was a win at -180. I had Taylor Pendrith over Adam Svensson, Ben Silverman, and Roger Sloan. I think I shit-talked both Ben Silverman and Roger Sloan, and they both might have finished top 30. So that was a loss at +125. So live and learn. Just don't trash talk the guys you're betting against, because they're going to have their best performances of the entire year. Now I know. I had Robert McIntyre over Ricky Fowler. That was a loss. And then I had Davis Thompson top 40 at -110. That was a win. So I went 2 for 5, lost 1.50 units. So I'm currently at positive 3.65 units on the year. It happens.
It happens. And then my wild card was Rio Hisasune and Chris Kirk top 40 parlay at +390. Chris Kirk finished one shot away.
Oh no. Oh man, that is brutal. I didn't think I was going to even be close. So that was a solid wild card pick.
Thank you.
I got lucky. So my wild card pick was Neil Shipley top 20 at +600, which might be the second or third biggest odds we've hit on a wild card. He was T21 up until I think 3 groups were left on the course, and one of those final 3 groups was somebody who lost to their spot, and they bumped back to T20 with everybody else. So Neil Shipley ended up winning right exactly at tied 20. Depending on what sportsbook you used, you might have gotten money back. For me, it was a win, but even if you got money back, I don't think you're having any complaints on a T20. So
we love that. We like to see a win. And then we also did pretty good on the winners picks. I had Akshay, who finished T2, and then Taylor Pendrith, who was T44.
Yeah, I had Davis Thompson, who was also T2, and then Ryan Fox, who was T67. So I think that is like 5 runner-ups in the last 9 weeks between the two of us. So it's pretty crazy at this point, and that's just second places. That's not accounting for any other guys in 5th, guys in 7th kind of a deal that could also take up more of that. So, all right, with that, are we moving on to our personal favorite course that is not a major or big event?
I was going to say a couple courses I like personally better than JDC or
Yeah,
TPC Deere Run. But
Yeah, Pebble Beach and the players and all those are probably
did you just
winning.
forget what the course the Players is at?
Yeah, it was a mental break. Don't even worry about it. So
Okay, well, it's another TPC design, so if that helps.
it's like PGA National, right?
Oh my God, no, it's TPC Sawgrass.
Oh yeah, that one.
Oh my God,
It's been a long work day. All
do
right,
not
let's not.
cut this.
Oh, I 100% will. It's okay.
No.
All right, we are going through the John Deere Classic. This is a par 71 totaling 7,290 yards. And it's played in the Quad Cities, so right on the Illinois Iowa border. Last year's winner was Sepp Straka. This course, a lot of people argue, is a putting contest. One of the biggest statistics outside of a streaky putter is going to be driving accuracy. You can look at some of the big names that have won in the past, such as Steve Stricker, Zach Johnson, Seb Straka, etc. Dylan Fratelli, the year that he won for whatever reason, guy has no accuracy since, but the year he won, very accurate. All those guys were great with driving accuracy. Outside of that, just know that it is going to be a birdie fest. You are going to want a guy who can get to 5 under, 4 under at least, to have a chance to make the weekend.
Are you saying around?
No. Like if you on Friday, you're going to want to be at least like 5 under to probably make the cut safely.
Probably. Yeah, because it's going to end probably at like 22 under, I think is the average over the last decade.
Yeah. I think that this is not the week to pick a guy who's good on bogey avoidance. You want a guy who's going to make a lot of birdies. So if they have driving accuracy, they can putt decently, and they're going to make a lot of birdies. This is the week to do it. Outside of that, I don't have a ton of data on this course. Course history is solid here. It's not spectacular. It's a little
course this year.
What's
right
up?
In the middle. 18th most predictive course this year. It's right in the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of the way. Yeah. So no, outside of that, that's kind of it. I mean, I don't know. Anything else stand out for you on the course, or are we going to get right into DraftKings lineups?
No, I got one more thing. Shout out to all the Pirates of the Caribbean fans. Jack Sparrow missed the Monday qualifier by 1 spot.
Oof, brutal.
Poor guy. But names we should know: Joshua Creel and Chase Johnson both made it. So 2 names that are pretty familiar with making the Monday quals if you follow that like I do.
There we go. Just to highlight as we go into the DraftKings pricing, there are a few guys who have already decided to withdraw. John Deere is notorious for getting a couple withdrawals on Monday. Cantlay is one of them. I know Cam Davis is another one. Don't ask me who the third one is. Montgomery, maybe? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right. There we go. Pulled that one out. So with that, let's get right into the pricing. 10,500 now is going to be our most expensive golfer, which is probably the cheapest you're going to see all year, more likely than not. And so, Jeff, we got Jordan Spieth at 10,500 down to Aaron Rye at 10,000. What do you think of the range?
Well, I think it's terrible. Aaron Rye should be number 1.
Oh,
I'm not happy about saying it, but take a look at his last 6 weeks. 2, 19, 14, 32, 39, 4. Guy's been a monster. Guy, last week at the Rocket Mortgage, 3 rounds in the 60s, 65, 2 68s. In the U.S. Open, he had a 68 and a 69. Canadian Open, 67, 65. Guy's a monster. And actually, in terms of accuracy, he was the number 1 green and reg player in the entire season last year. So if you're taking a look at a guy at 10K, granted, only $500 cheaper than the last guy, but I think Aaron Rye, riding momentum and riding the stick, is the guy to go to.
yeah, he is number 1 in terms of course fit. I totally get that. It's something where he is really good off the tee and he's got great approach, and his putter is incredibly streaky. But right now, it is streaking in the right direction. Again, you kind of commented he has 7 straight top 40 or better finishes. During this stretch, he's gained in all statistical categories except for putting, where he lost 3 times. 2 of those weeks included the PGA Championship and the U.S. Open, which, again, we can give breaks to guys on because They're majors, and as much as we love John Deere Classic, that is not a major.
What?
I know, shocking. I will talk about Spieth. He's lost both strokes gained approach and strokes gained putting in 6 of his last 9 starts. He has spectacular history here at the JDC, winning 2 times in both 2013 and 2015. He also finished T7 in 2014. During those 3 starts, he gained nearly 14 strokes with the flat stick. He hasn't played here since his win in 2015. And needless to say, he is not the same golfer that he was when he won here in 2015. Don't also forget that he has been fighting a wrist injury for the last few weeks. I am avoiding Spieth. I really want him to do well here. I would love it if he won here. But I would not touch him with a 10-foot pole as far as bets or DFS by any means this week.
No, I mean, he has, one top 40 since Valero.
Yep.
Sorry, 2 top 40 since Valero. That is scary.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I'm not touching that. Although I want to see Jordan Spieth win. I don't care if I could lose all my bets if Jordan Spieth would win. It'd be fun. But he hasn't played here in a decade. He was a young guy where he actually had a swing figured out. Putter was electric. Now he's just fighting everything because he's trying to go back. And when you go over the top and come back, it's a lot harder than working through it. Sepp Straka is scary, but has played really well, and as very Sepp Straka-esque, has managed to sneak in a couple 100th place finishes in between. But in the last 8 weeks, he has, let me go back, 4 top 10s and 6 top 20s. So outside of that, he looks really good coming into it. One concern I have is that at the PGA Championship, at a course that I thought he should have played well at, I think he made like 2 birdies in 2 rounds. But his last round at the Travelers was a 61. So I think he's riding high into this week and a lot of confidence. So that's a guy to target a little bit.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite guy in terms of price point. He's gained in strokes gained off the tee and approach in 9 of his last 10 starts. During that time, he's made 9 cuts, with his lone miscut being the PGA Championship. Again, we'll sacrifice if people miss cuts at majors, especially in this field. He had a T56 at the U.S. Open and otherwise has 7 top 16 or better finishes in 9 starts. I like his chances to kind of go back to back. He ranks 2nd on tour in driving accuracy, which again I said was going to be extremely important here. He's less volatile now. He was way more volatile, a year or 2 ago. He now is volatile at majors as opposed to, the 3M Open kind of a deal. And so I think that is a good sign for Sepp Straka. I'll talk quickly on Sungjae. Take away the majors, and Sungjae has a stretch of 5 straight top 12 or better finishes. Even before then, he's gained strokes gained off the tee in 10 straight starts. And then the putter is gained in the last 7 of those 10 starts. So he's starting to get into form. If you're betting Sungjae or you're putting him in lineups, you're trying to basically beat the bell curve. But when you're the 3rd most expensive guy in the field, there's not that much of a bell curve to kind of beat. You're just kind of trying to almost fire from the hip without even knowing where exactly you're aiming. And I don't think with, saving $200 or $300, depending on, or $100, $200, it really does much to help you out.
I get that. Sungjae has looked spectacular, and I don't know what I need to see out of him to get the confidence I had going into last year. But man, he looked really good 4 rounds in the 60s. And I think in terms of non-majors, I think it's like 5 of his last 8 have been inside the 60s. So I think he has the ability to score. This should be a course that actually, in terms of if you've never played TPC Deere Run, it actually fades a draw more than it does a cut. And being a lefty, both of us, that really, really helps, which is nice. So I would be a little wary of getting to Sungjae, but it's not taking away anything from him. I think Aaron Rai is my number 1. Im is my number 2, and then Straka is my number 3.
I would go probably Straka, Rai, Im for my 1, 2, and 3. Again, I like Straka this week. I think he is dangerous and has a chance to go back to back. So, all right. with that, let's get into the 9K range. We got Maverick McNeely at 9,800 down to Sam Stevens at 9,000.
Well, let me just say, if you have the ability to get those top three guys in this range in your lineup in Maverick McNeely, Davis Thompson, and Denny McCarthy, you go ahead and do that. I support that. Maverick McNeely has been on a tear, and even at the Rocket Mortgage, where he has 3 rounds in the 70s, still finished 44th. Guy's a pure ball striker, and coming into it, 3 top 25s coming into it, including a top 10. He's been really good. Davis Thompson has been one of the most quiet golfers the entire year. I know I said that about Shane Lowry at the beginning of the year, but he has back-to-back top 10s, a 27th at Memorial, terrible finish at the RBC, and then 220 finishes back-to-back before that. And then Denny McCarthy is one of the best putters I've ever seen in the history of this game. He has 4 top 40s coming into this, and I think it's like 6 of his last 7 are all top 40 there. Not the best pure score that I've ever seen all time, but in terms of a guy that has the ability to putt and score, like we talked about at was it Houston, where he finished with 61 coming into it?
Yes.
I want to say it was Houston. He has that ability. If he can just get and catch lightning in a bottle for one run, which Deere Run is not the hardest course in the world, at 9,500, this is a lock.
Yeah, I mean, I love all 3 of those guys. Gosh, how much do I go into it all? Because you discussed a lot. I'll mention bits and pieces. Davis Thompson, take away the miscut at the Canadian Open, and he has 5 straight T27 or better finishes with 2 T2s. His stats look greener than an evergreen tree as well, and he's gained in all statistical categories. And again, in each of those 5 starts outside of that miscut at the Canadian. Maverick McNeely is one of the best putters in the world. You could argue that he's like 5th or 10th or whatever you want to say. I don't care. It still makes him one of the best. He has gained strokes gained off the tee in 11 straight starts. He's also gained with a putter in 9 of those 11 starts. His approach play has been a bit hit and miss, and you could argue that's the one spot he's quote unquote weak in. But even when it's off, he doesn't really lose more than like 1 stroke to the field, and usually his putter and his off the tee game really benefit and kind of bump the rest of it back. He's gained nearly 10 strokes putting in 3 starts here at the John Deere Classic, and he's had a T8, a T8, a T18, and then in 2017 he had a T44 finish. Again, I'm not taking too much into the whole like before COVID finishes with some of these guys on John Deere Classic, because they were likely like amateurs or rookies at the time when they did
Maverick
that.
McNeely was in Stanford in that year.
Exactly. So yeah, those are I'm high on all 3 of those guys. I'll talk about Sam Stevens. I'm honestly sad to see him at this price. Part of me was really hoping Sam was going to be priced in like the 7,000s this week, because he almost always is. But DraftKings kind of did the good old-fashioned FU and decided to throw him up at 9K for me. He had 3 straight T14 or better finishes. He does best on birdie fest courses. He's not very accurate off the tee, but he does everything else that's kind of needed at this course quite well. And I was ready to kind of push him into a lineup, but at 9K, it's just too expensive of a price. There's plenty of guys kind of all around him, I think, that are equally good options, and I'd rather spend the extra $500 and go up to Denny.
100%. I know people are going to say, what about JT Poston? He obviously won 2 years ago and top 10 finished last year. Take a look at his last results. Let's take a look. 55 with the Travelers, 32 the U.S. Open, which is really good. He's coming into it in really good form. But for me, in terms of 9,100, the way that I'm prioritizing my lineup here, and I think it'll make more sense when we actually get into it, it's going to be a big hitter, I think, or it's going to be a really low hitter. These mediocre guys in terms of like the 90 mediocre, let me rephrase that, from like 9,200 to like 8,400, I don't think are going to win, which I know it's a really small range, but there's like 40 guys that fill into that. It scares me, and I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's everybody below Denny, so 9,400 Jason Day, all the way to basically the bottom of the 8K range. I don't think any of them will win this week.
Well, speaking of 8K range, do you want to just jump into that?
Yeah, let's do it. We got Nick Dunlap at 8,900 all the way down to, well, we'll go Bo Hostler at 8,100 since Montgomery's out.
Speaking of accuracy, Nick Dunlap did have the most accurate off the tee numbers in terms of last week, so I think that's a really good place to start. But One of the guys that I think I'm a little high on again is Eric Cole. I talked about him last week and how that course fit was really good for him to kind of get back into form. He did end up having 3 runs in the 60s, 170, which was really, really good for him. He finished 6th. Coming into that, he obviously wasn't really playing well. I think that this can be another event that Eric Cole does dominate, because when we talked about him at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, these courses that are laid out very basic, Eric Cole seems to dominate. And John Deere is not a tricky course if you can keep it in the fairway and you can keep it on the green. These fairways are not that, trimmed or thin. Sorry, guys. Greens are really not that fast. They're not running at a 14 on the stimp meter. It's really not a tricky course. And if you can just keep it in play how Eric Cole knows how to do, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I definitely see top 30 out of him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you on that one with Eric Cole. Again, you're kind of relying on the early season form that he was in. If you get to him, he's cooled off, I think is a simple way to say it. But again, he still has that upside to win tournaments. He was the 3rd or 4th most expensive guy at the Honda, aka the Cognizant, when that came
It's like
around.
Put him in the lineup and don't even think about it until he falls off at that point.
Exactly. So I don't blame you for going that route. I have like 4 or 5 guys I'll rattle off through here real quick. Nick Dunlap, again, he kind of got pushed onto the golf scene quite aggressively after he won the Amex in January. He really struggled badly. Starting in May, though, he sort of like figured out how to hit a golf ball again on the PGA Tour. He was no longer finishing last in elevated events, aka the ones with no cuts. And is only missing cuts at majors like the PGA and the US Open. He has 4 T30 or better finishes in his last 7 starts, which again is just a good sign. He's very expensive at $8,900, but again, this is a kind of weak field that I think he can have some success on. I don't blame you going to him if you want to get to that. I'm going to talk about Mark Hubbard. He has great course history here post-COVID with a T6, a T13, and a T41. He's also still not missed a cut all season. He has not missed a cut since the RSM. So he is more expensive this week in a weaker field. So bear in mind, usually you can get him in like the mid to low 7s. This week you have to get him at like 8,400. But there are still lots of big names I anticipate that may miss the cut this week, i.e. like a Jordan Spieth, maybe a Sung Jae. Again, I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying there's a chance to. I think Jason Day may miss the cut this week. So if you're telling me that, you get a guy that is just statistically more likely to make the cut, I like those chances. He's also top 40 on tour in driving accuracy, which is always nice to see. So I think Hubbard's a very low floor, high ceiling choice if you want to go that route. Let's go Lucas Glover next. If you look at it, his course history here is spectacular. But if you look at his recent form, he is quite literally one of the worst players on tour the last few weeks. He has lost the touch with the putter, losing strokes in 5 of his last 6 starts. He's also lost strokes gained off the tee in 5 of his last 6 starts as well. On a good week this week, he might sneak out a top 40, but there's just not an upside there unless he has some sort of a magical putting week or he figures out how to hit the tee shot. Jack and my favorite amateur, Luke Clanton, is in the field on a sponsor's exemption. I'm being sarcastic. I'm not saying he's Jack's favorite amateur, but he played well last week. I was high on the good golfer last week, and he materialized for you with a T10 finish. He's back this week on another sponsor's exemption, and I have high hopes for Luke. His price really kind of ballooned, so I don't think he's quite a viable option for DFS, but I do hope he does well, and I will be rooting for him. He gained 7.5 strokes ball striking last week and 3.5 strokes with the putter in that performance. He also lost strokes around the green. I think he lost 3.5 strokes in the tournament. If that continues and he just levels out that around the green plate or around 0, he's got a chance for another top 20 this week.
It's not unreasonable.
Want me to keep going?
I don't have anybody else, so keep firing away.
All right. I'll talk Seamus Power quickly. In his 5 starts here since 2017, he has never missed a cut and has 4 top 25 or better finishes. He has great strokes gained approach and solid driving accuracy. He can play here as well, even if he's in bad form. Last year, he finished T13 here after he missed 4 straight cuts. The following week, after finishing T13 here, he withdrew and then missed the cut again the week after this. So even if he's not playing well, he seems to like this course and for whatever reason play really well when it comes to the John Deere. So Seamus Power at 8,300 is another viable option if you want somebody with maybe a little more upside than Hubbard, but equally a little bit of volatility. All right, with that, into the 7K range we go?
Yeah, I'll list off the names so you can rattle off your stats about one of our guys here. Ben Griffin, all the way down to, on the bottom, we have Chan Kim. Welcome back.
Chan Kim. All right, well, I will talk about Neil Shipley. I'm sure Jack and I are both very high on him this week. He was the low am at both the Masters and the U.S. Open. He gained 6 strokes ball striking in the T20 finish last week. One thing to note about last week is he also lost 3 strokes with the putter, which I don't see happening again. Even if he just levels out to 0, I like that. Him being cheaper than like a Luke Clanton feels a bit like a highway robbery in my opinion. I think both guys are going to do well, but if you're telling me you can get Neil Shipley for basically $1,000 less than Luke Clanton, it just feels right to go to Neil Shipley. I do think he'll be popular because he played so well last week. I don't really think it matters. I think he's going to be a solid option this week.
There you go. Yeah, I love Neil Shipley this week. I think that I was less high on him last week than I am this week. This course, I think, for me, suits him a lot better. And if he did what he did last week, this week, we're going to be successful. One guy I like that's going to be very, very undervalued, I think, and underowned is Chandler Phillips. In contention for one of the greatest mustaches outside of Eric Van Rooyen, who made a mistake in trimming that puppy. Coming into the John Deere, in 2 of his last 3 starts are top 15s, top 10 at RBC. He finished 67th at the Rocket Mortgage with a 72 and a 73, so normal rounds. This guy's a monster. He's been pure ball striking, pure class for most of the year. Even though he's 7,100, his scoring average is under 70, and that includes rounds of like 75, 77 at the beginning of the year when he was probably still trying to figure out how to hold the club at a PGA Tour event. So I really like him this week. He's another guy targeting. Ben Silverman, which I'm hoping that Liam chooses to cuss out this week, because coming into it, 4 straight top 40 finishes, including 2 top 20s. I was a little high on him at the beginning of the year, and then he seemed to hear that and immediately go off. But he's played really well coming into this, really good form, really good accuracy in terms of the measurements and statistics from tee to green. Not the best putter in the world, but he's another guy I'm really, really high on. One guy that I think you've probably heard me if you've been watching for a long time is Grayson Sigg. He is one of the best course models and the course stats in the entire history of this event. In his 2 starts here, he's finished 13th and 16th for an average of 14.5 and gained 14.85 shots overall, with his worst stat being 0.05 shots lost in those 8 rounds putting. And then last but not least, I just hope Nate Lashley misses the cut.
Okay, there you go. I have a few more guys in this range I'll discuss. Brendan Todd, he's been an awful stretch recently. He did finish runner up here last year, and he is known for being quite accurate off the tee, but it doesn't matter when you just physically cannot hit a golf ball, which is what he's doing right now. He's lost strokes gained off the tee in 10 of his last 11 starts, and he's lost with the putter in 5 of his last 8 starts. He's just an entirely different golfer. Does he have a chance to totally turn it around? Sure, but it's not likely. We're going to talk about K.H. Lee. He's normally referred to us as TPC Lee. He's best at strokes gained off the tee and putting, where he's ranked top 70 on the tour in both statistics. What's weird, though, is that he's really good on TPC courses, but this is one of the few TPC courses he does not do well on. He's played this course twice before, and both times he has missed a cut, not even on the number, just badly, basically shooting 1 under both times. So for whatever reason, although he's great at all of the other TPC courses, I don't know if he's my first guy this week. But again, he's not called TPC Lee because he normally stinks on TPC courses. So just keep in mind, he definitely has upside to, pull one out of a hat this week and do great. Let's talk about Joel Damon. He's known for his streaks of snapping off top 40s and bunches and then missing a bunch of cuts, like 8 to 10 in a row. He's kind of found something since the Zurich, and he's starting to get a little bit of that, Joel Damon swagger back with the bucket hat. He's been accurate off the tee, and the ball striking has been phenomenal each of the past 3 weeks. In 4 starts here, he's missed a cut 3 times, and the other time he finished T2. So, again, much like KH Lee, it's a bit of a high upside play, but there is some concerns as far as safety. He might miss a cut. Last guy, Nick Hardy. I think he's an Illinois guy. Yep. So this is a home course for him. I think he's probably one of my favorite pivots in the bottom of this 8K range. He's made the cut at all 4 of his starts here at the JDC, and has progressively improved from a T55 way back when all the way to a T21 last year. He's great in strokes gained off the tee and putting, but his accuracy has always been the big question with the approach shots. Again, he's a hometown kid from the Chicago area. And Jack and I can speak from personal experience that this is the kind of course that he'll want to perform well on. As a hometown guy, we always hear him talk about how JDC is a course he wants to do well on. I think that's it for him.
Just that?
Yeah, just like 7 or 8 or 9 or 25 names, in that range. Just, go crazy. All right, with that 6K range we go. There is no 5K range because of how cheap all the guys are in the 10K range. So starting with Kevin Tway at 6,900 all the way down to, oh boy, I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Don't be here.
Nick Watney.
Doesn't really matter. If you're here, at some point you messed up in your lineup. There's only one guy that I would say any bearing you may want to target, and it's Harry Higgs. He plays really well on these just super easy golf courses. He played, won back-to-back events, 4th at the Compliance Championship and 26th at the Memorial Corn Ferry, not the actual Memorial. Then he gets into these harder PGA Tour courses and does like 40th and 50th or like dead last in the U.S. Open. But I think this is a course that actually suits him pretty well. Outside of that, I don't think there's a single guy that I would say you target here with any realm of confidence.
I have a few guys that are interesting. None of them I'm extremely confident on. Outside of one that I feel pretty good about, but I'll loop them all in. So the first one, less confident on him, Kyle Westmoreland. He is very good in strokes gained tee to green if you look at those metrics, but all of his starts have been on the Corn Ferry Tour. He has 6 top 25 or better finishes this year, but he also has like 4 missed cuts, so he's very much boom bust. Biggest concern, he is a masher. He is like Bryson DeChambeau-esque or Bryson DeChambeau wannabe, where he mashes the golf ball off the tee. This is not really the course that you need to do that. Jack does well when he does that. He can break 70, but it doesn't necessarily mean that guys playing on a PGA Tour event at that course are going to do any better. So keep that in mind. He's got the upside, but he's not probably my first choice in the range. I am going to talk about Will Gordon. Will Gordon, first tournament back. Will Gordon. Depending on your level of golf.
He's played Corn Ferry.
No. This is his first PGA Tour event, at least. I know that for a fact.
Because he got the injury at Waste Management, and then he played. I'm pretty sure he's played. Are you talking about Will Gordon, like the picture that I talked about last year a lot with the golden retriever picture?
Yes.
Yeah, he's missed his last 2 Corn Ferry starts or cuts.
I didn't see those. Depending on your level of golf knowledge, you may remember Will Gordon. He was injured for many months and just came back this week to make his first PGA start since the Waste Management in February. He has upside that not a lot of other guys in this field can provide. He ranks 30th in the field in greens or top 30 in the field in greens and regulation, strokes gained putting, and driving distance. He's also top 50 in the field in driving accuracy and strokes gained off the tee. I'm not saying he's going to go crush the world, but of all these guys, 6,500 and below, he's probably got the most or some of the best PGA Tour experience. And he has the most upside, I think, to do well. He did finish T28 here in 2022. Again, he missed the cut last year, but there was a lot of injury challenges with Will Gordon throughout the last 12 months, needless to say. Last comment to mention is a guy that, if Jack knows about it, I'll be quite happy. Ryan McCormick.
Yes.
His made cut lines look a lot worse than they actually are if you're looking at FanDuel or DraftKings. He has made 3 of his last 4 cuts. and only really missed the cut at the RBC Canadian Open, which was a pretty good field, all things considered. And then, and he missed the cut at the Zurich at the end of March as well. Sorry, but again, this is Zurich. We're not going to worry too much about it. He is an interesting upside play. He would be really more of a, I hope this guy makes the cut than anything else. But if you don't want to go Will Gordon because of the injury, Ryan McCormick is probably my next favorite option below 6,500.
Nick Stewart's in there too. I'm rooting for him.
He's not below 65 though, is he?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know his price.
No, he's seven. He's in the sevens. he's way too good to be in the sixes in this field.
Oh,
Sam
man.
Ryder's in the sixes, and the Cooties.
Good.
Oh, Kelly Craft's in here. Kelly Craft could be interesting.
He plays a yellow golf ball.
Well, yeah, Jack doesn't like him for a different reason. All right. With that, let's call that there and get into our DraftKings lineups. What does yours look like this week?
I love mine. It is Aaron Rye at 10,000, Maverick McNeely at 9,800, Eric Cole at 8,500, Neil Shipley at 7,500, Chandler Phillips at 7,100, and Ben Silverman at 7,100.
Yeah, you have a solid lineup. I'm quite happy with it. I kind of like mine as well. For my DraftKings lineup, I'm starting Maverick McNeely, 9,800, Davis Thompson, 9,600, Denny McCarthy, 9,500, Michael Thorbjornsen, 7,700, Nick Hardy, 7,000, and then again Will Gordon at 6,400 is the one weakness of that entire lineup. But I mean, if he sneaks a made cut, or if he's the only one that misses the cut, I think those other 5 guys could all finish top 30 easy.
You had me.
I know. Will Gordon's if you can find somebody else.
Is it Harry Higgs 6,400?
What?
Is it Harry Higgs 6,400?
He is, and if you swap to Harry Higgs, I could respect that. Again, Big Rig Higgs is tough though, because he went back to back on the Corn Ferry Tour in May, and he won twice there. But I mean,
So you're going to trust a guy who missed the last 2 Corn Ferry cuts over the guy that won 2 of his last 5?
Will Gordon, who's like played more on the PGA Tour in the last like 3-4 years than Harry Higgs. Yeah. I think I know what Harry Higgs is getting into. I think with Will Gordon, there's that unknown, and I think there's a chance.
All right. My FanDuel might have to do a friendly bet on that one.
We can do that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right, my FanDuel lineup pretty similar. Aaron Rye 11,500, Maverick McNeely 11,400, Davis Thompson 11,100, Neil Shipley 9,100, Chandler Phillips 8,500, and Ben Silverman 8,200. I really have guys I'm high on this week. You're going to see a lot of familiar names, especially when we get into bets. Everything's going to look the same because these are the guys I'm high on this week. In fields that are a lot smaller, it's a lot easier to do that.
There you go. No, I get it. It's the same thing with my lineups. I totally understand. I have similar guys as well. For my FanDuel, Maverick McNeely, 11,400. Davis Thompson, 11,100. Denny McCarthy, 11,000. Seamus Power, 9,600. Neil Shipley, 9,100. And then Will Gordon, 7,800. Again, if you don't like Will Gordon, I think Harry Higgs is like 79, and I think you're $100 off. So good luck, have fun. You can find that 6th guy. Again, I like everybody else, and I
just don't tell me you have a Will Gordon like top 30 bet out there somewhere.
No comments.
No.
Hey, you're up. Go with your bets, kid.
I'll
follow you.
My bets are super. There's like 3 of them. They're like, oh, Jack, you're a baby. And then there's 3 of them that you're like, Jack, thank you for finally. Okay, this is the number 1 comment I get on social media. I get so many messages. Your bets are too safe. Your bets are too safe. I'm up 46.89 units. What other golf bettor is up almost 50 units and 125 over the last 24 months? You let me know. I'm waiting. So my safe, too unrisky for you guy bets, Maverick McNeely top 40 is minus 150. You need to go into your local bank, not rob it, but politely ask for the biggest withdrawal of your entire life and throw it on them.
In big denominations.
Big denominations, or even the coin machine if you need it. Denny McCarthy top 40 is also minus 150. Guy's one of the best putters in the world. He can truly score if he needs to. I love it. Aaron Rye top 40 minus 180. He's the guy that we just talked about being number one in the field and has hit this in 6 straight events. Do I need to say more? Guy is super accurate. Now, here come the fun bets, if you guys want them. Neil Shipley, top 30 is plus 240. Now, granted, yes, I know that is scary. He's technically still very unproven, but hit this in the U.S. Open, and he dominated in his debut in the PGA Tour, finishing 20th with 2 rounds in the 60s, including a 67 and a 68. This is a weird event where there's guys that probably shouldn't even make the Corn Ferry Tour that are playing in this event. Even if he can make those numbers and perform that well against a really big field and like majors and whatnot, I think this is going to be a really good spot for him. I have Chandler Phillips, top 40, is plus 162. Taking a look, he's hit this in 2 of his last 3 starts, and he has the capability to score really good tee to green measurements. Putter's not the best thing that he has in the bag, but in terms of what he can offer, I think he can break this number really well. And then last but not least, Ben Silverman, top 40, is plus 175. He's done this in 4 straight events. And coming into it, he's a really good scorer. He performed really well last week at the Rocket Mortgage and at the Myrtle Beach Classic. Good scoring numbers. I love these bets, and I'm going to lock it in to make 50 units by the end of this week.
There you go. For my bets, I went with 4 this week. Again, it's a weird betting week with not that many big names. I didn't feel too confident on too many spots, so I just put 4 in. I have Michael Thorbjornsen at top 40 at plus 125. I have Seamus Power top 40 at plus 110. I have Davis Thompson over Jason Day at minus 120. And I have Neil Shipley top 40 at plus 160. So if you don't like Jack's top 30 bet at plus 240, you can also get his top 40 odds at plus 160 and still make your good money, just in case you're one of Jack's guys that doesn't like the fact that he always has negative odds, but you didn't like him top 30.
Yeah, sorry, guys. I'll work on that next time.
What?
Sorry, 47 units in the last 8 months. October. 9 months of golf wasn't good enough, guys. I'm sorry about that. I'll bet plus 10,000 and make you guys 0.9 units a week.
There we go. All right.
Anyway.
With that, are we going winners or wildcard picks?
Let's go wildcard because I got 2 of them.
All right, go for it if you got 2.
All right, number 1, Chandler Phillips. Round 1, top 20 is plus 425. Let's take a look at his last 4 starts, or 6 starts rather, in terms of round 1. 68, 69, 70, 67, 72, and 68. Including in that was the CJ Cup where he missed the cut. And he still shot 72. That was his worst first round. This guy can score. This should be an event that I think he takes advantage of. I think there's going to be a huge tie in terms of like the top 50 guys in this event. And the bets for round or top 20, at least in the bets or the book that I place, is top 20 and ties. So if I can get these number, I think there's going to be a batch of like 47 to 50 guys. I'm taking that. And I'm going Neil Shipley. Round 1, top 20 is also plus 400. We're known to smack the wild cards at plus 400. But round 1 at the Rocket Mortgage was 67. This event should suit him well. He always comes out firing to start and then kind of dwindles off, I think, as he tries to put himself in a safer spot for contention. So if I can hit one of these, I'm up big.
I love the Neil Shipley wild card. I don't know as much about Chandler Phillips.
I almost did a parlay of it.
I know that. I mean, what are those odds there? Like plus 1,500 if you do those?
Oh, probably more than that.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out a number in my head.
You read yours off and then I'll.
All right. For my wild card pick, again, I'm going to a guy I want to keep tabs on this week. I'm going KH Lee top 30 at plus 225. Again, more than anything else, I just want to see how he does. Considering he does not make a lot of cuts here, needless to say.
Plus 2,525.
All right, not bad. Just a little decent, you know.
Something slight.
Yeah. All right, on to winners. What are our winners' bets looking like this week?
I was going to do the guy that you picked, but
Yes,
I'm going to go Davis Thompson, who has been in contention for a number of weeks. He's been spectacular. And then I'm going Eric Cole. I saw what he did last week. I thought he looked really good, really, really good. And I think he can carry the momentum on this week.
To be fair, if I didn't take Davis Thompson last week, I probably would have taken him this week. So that's the only reason I didn't take him. For my winners, I'm assuming the guy that you wanted to take was Aaron Rye.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, my first one's Aaron Rye. I think that's going to be a very solid option. Again, if the putter is half decent, the rest of his game is good enough to probably potentially win him this tournament. And then my second winner is going to be a rook, Michael Thorbjornsen. So I'm all aboard. I feel like Neil Shipley's a little too new to throw out there already as winners picks, but give me Thorbo. See what happens.
Yeah, because he's been spectacular.
Well, yeah, it's been pretty good. So no, that is all for this week. Next week we are going across the pond to the Genesis Scottish Open, and then the Open. Uh, I just realized, yeah, Thursday this week is 4th of July. So if you guys are American in here, have a fun Thursday off. If you're not American and you're a golf bettor, have a nice Thursday, I guess. Otherwise,
Real question: if you gave me 10 tries to make the cut at TPC Deere Run, do you think I'd do it?
do you get a handicap or no?
No, strip. Same tees as the pros, same everything. 10 tries.
I think you miss it on the number one time. I think that's what you get. I think you miss it on the number one of your tries.
So my best one is if the cut's at -4, I'm at -3.
Yeah. I think you're missing it right on the number there, -3. That's my guess.
Okay.
I think at least 2 or 3 times you're struggling one of the days, and that takes you out.
I'm drilling a spectator off the first tee.
Well, that's kind of my thought. I'm like the first like 2 or 3 tries, you're 100%. Like drilling a spectator or shooting 80 or like doing one of those. But then like by like the 7th, 8th, or 9th time, my guess is you'd go out, you'd shoot like even par the first day, and you'd feel like, all right, I can do this. Go out, shoot 3 under the second day, and then miss the cut on the number. Like that'd be my interpretation of how you do in the
I'm mad at that.
Yeah. Again,
I'm not shooting 22 under, I can tell you that.
Well, and that's the thing. And I think if you make the cut, you're finishing last.
Oh, 100%.
And that's not me trying to be a dick. I'm just trying to say it.
That's not an insult.
So no, that's what I see. I think you make the cut, and then there's a lot of stress and pressure, and you're like, holy shit, I'm in a PGA Tour tournament on the weekends. I'm playing with, I don't know, Matthew Neesmith. I don't know, name one of those guys, and you're like, holy shit, I'm playing with a PGA Tour golfer. Like this guy maybe has played against Tiger. What the hell do I do? And then you probably shoot like 2 over kind of deal.
As long as it's not Nate Lashley, I'm golden.
Oh my God. The trash talk on Nate now.
I hate him.
Crazy. So, all right. With that, we will leave you to it. Bet smart, bet safe. If you're trying to save some money, maybe don't bet this week. Save up for the U.S. or not the U.S. Open, for the Open in 2 weeks. But beyond that, we will see you next week at the Genesis Scottish Open.
Let's do it.
Doses.